This segment is sponsored by New Perspective Financial Solutions. There are plenty of risks to be on the lookout for during retirement, and one of the biggest keys for protection could be an estate plan. So here to help us protect our retirement is Tavon Jackson. Tavon is the founder of New Perspective Financial Solutions, a DC-based firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful retirement. And today, Tavon is joined by attorney Amy D. Griffin. Amy is the principal of Life and Legacy Counselors. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Tavon. All right, Amy, what happens if we don't put together an estate plan?
If we don't put together a plan, we are subjected to the default, right? Depending on what state you live in, the government identifies for you who's going to get what, where, when, and how.
Oh, no.
In addition, you get to pay. You get to pay. The more assets that you have, you get to pay the court.
Oh, no.
Right, so
no, we don't want any of that to happen.
Exactly.
And then one thing we do is every time somebody comes in to meet with us, we always make sure, hey, do you have your will done? Do you have your power of attorney done? Your medical directive, your trust? So that's the first step in the financial planning process.
Okay, but why is a will not enough then?
A will, a lot of times people think that a will means that that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You just need to read it like they do on TV, have a reading of the will and then distributions. But the will really directs the court process. That means the court is involved in every step of the process. And most of us don't want to go to court for anything, let alone to pay them to tell us who gets what, where, when, and how. We want to bypass that probate, which is what happens with the estate process when you don't have a trust in place.
So the estate plan is really what's directing where everything's going, who's getting what to do with the estate, essentially. That's all the details we need. Right.
That's the first, right? So again, is identifying how do you want to make sure the folks that you love are positioned when you're no longer here. That's one of the components. The other component is what happens if I'm unable to make decisions for myself, right? I want to make those decisions as to who's going to step in and guide me or guide the circumstances around me as well. But we can only do that if we have a plan. Otherwise, we're leaving it to somebody else to make those decisions.
That knows nothing about us, nothing about what we want. And Tavon, for your clients that maybe don't have a beneficiary for their 401k, what do you say to them about why that's important?
Well, like, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm not married yet. I don't
You'll
have
get there.
no kids yet.
Yeah.
So my beneficiary is literally my best friend. And what's gonna happen is when I pass away, my friend's gonna inherit my 401k.
Right.
But they have to open up what's called an inherited IRA. And what that means is that they have to actually liquidate that account within 10 years, which is a good and bad thing. One is good because you got 10 years more for your money to grow, but it's bad because once your money's grown, you got to pay more in taxes. So that's the new rule now, that if it's a non-spouse, you have to liquidate that account within 10 years.
Okay. See, it's so much information. That's why we have the experts to help us all kind of figure out, because there are so many steps when it comes to it that just a will is not going to do, or you think you have everything in place. Revocable and irrevocable trust, what's the difference between that?
So if you think of it sort of in business terms, a revocable trust is an extension of you. Uses your social security number as an identifier, like a DBA, right, for a business. However, an irrevocable trust is like a corporation. It has its own EIN. It's a standalone entity. And as such, you relinquish some controls as a result, but it separates it from you. So if someone sues you, the irrevocable trust isn't touched.
Okay.
Right.
And with the beneficiaries, if you don't have a trust, they inherit the money. They can go to Vegas for a day, spend all your life savings all at once. But if you set a trust, you can still set the rules on your money if you're no longer here.
Because you're putting these things in a trust to help generations and generations to come after you, right?
And it never goes to the next generation, because once your
It's like,
beneficiary
woo,
gets it,
here
they
we
spend
go.
it. So having a trust, you can say, you know what, this is going to go for my kids.
Okay.
And that's why it's so exciting about it.
Which is also the difference between the will and the trust.
Right.
Because the will, it's like, here's a check, you go. Like even with life insurance, here's that check and then you go. As opposed to with the trust, it can identify the rules for that ongoing distribution plan.
Right, okay. Great information.
That's
I'm
why we
glad,
have her, yeah.
I know, I was gonna say, I'm glad you two are working together. They have all the knowledge that we all need for the best retirement possible. So for you at home, if you wanna learn more about creating your estate plan, New Perspective Financial Solutions has a great offer. They want to help protect and continue to grow your money while also helping you create a reliable income stream. So right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they are offering a complimentary retirement income plan just for you. This will allow Tavon to sit down with you personally or schedule a call to make sure you are on the right track for a successful retirement. The number to dial is 240-335-8367. 8366. Again, that's 240-335-8366.